disposed of the next man before he could settle down, but the score, 74 for 3 wickets, was large enough, in view of the fact that the pitch was already becoming more difficult and was certain to get worse, to make Ripton feel that the advantage was with them. Another hour of play remained before lunch. The deterioration of the wicket would be slow during that period. The sun, which was now shining brightly, would put in its deadliest work from 2 o'clock onwards. Maclean's instructions to his men were to go on hitting. A too liberal interpretation of the meaning of the verb "to hit" led to the departure of 2 more Riptonians in the course of the next 2 overs. There is a certain type of school batsman who considers that to force the game means to swipe blindly at every ball on the chance of taking it half volley. This policy sometimes leads to a boundary or two, as it did on this occasion, but it means that wickets will fall, as also happened now. 74 for 3 became 86 for 5. Burgess began to look happier. His contentment increased when he got the next man leg before wicket with the total unaltered. At this rate Ripton would be out before lunch for under 100. But the rot stopped with the fall of that wicket. Dashing tactics were laid aside. The pitch had begun to play tricks, and the pair now in settled down to watch the ball. They plodded on, scoring slowly and jerkily, till the hands of the clock stood at 1:30. Then Ellerby, who had gone on again instead of Grant, beat the less steady of the pair with a ball that pitched on the middle stump and shot into the base of the off. 120 had gone up on the board at the beginning of the over. That period which is always so dangerous when the wicket is bad, the 10 minutes before lunch, proved fatal to 2 more of the enemy. The last man had just gone to the wickets with the score at 131 when 1:45 arrived, and with it the luncheon interval. So far it was anybody's game. Chapter 28. Mike wins home. The Ripton last wicket man was de Vries, the slow bowler. He was apparently a young gentleman, wholly free from the curse of nervousness. He wore a cheerful smile as he took guard before receiving the first ball after lunch, and Wrykyn had plenty of opportunity of seeing that this was his normal expression when at the wickets. There is often a certain looseness about the attack after lunch, and the bowler of Googlies took advantage of it now. He seemed to be a batsman with only 1 hit, but he had also a very accurate eye, and his 1 hit, a semicircular stroke, which suggested the golf links rather than the cricket field, came off with distressing frequency. He mowed Burgess's first ball to the square leg boundary, missed his second, and snicked the third for 3 over Longslip's head. The other batsman played out the over, and de Vries proceeded to treat Ellerby's bowling with equal familiarity. The scoring board showed an increase of 20 as the result of 3 overs. Every run was invaluable now, and the Ripton contingent made the pavilion re-echo as a fluky shot over mid-on's head sent up the 150. There are few things more exasperating to the fielding side than a last wicket stand. It resembles in its effect the dragging out of a book or play after the denouement has been reached. At the fall of the 9th wicket the fieldsmen nearly always look on their outing as finished. Just a ball or 2 to the last man and it will be their turn to bat. If the last man insists on keeping them out in the field, they resent it. What made it especially irritating now was the knowledge that a straight Yorker would solve the whole thing. But when Burgess bowled a Yorker it was not straight, and when he bowled a straight ball it was not a Yorker. A 4 and a 3 to de Vries and a 4 by sent up 160. It was beginning to look as if this might go on for ever, when Ellerby, who had been missing the stumps by fractions of an inch for the last 10 minutes, did what Burgess had failed to do. He bowled a straight, medium-paced Yorker, and de Vries, swiping at it with a bright smile, found his leg stump knocked back. He had made 28. His record score, he explained to Mike, as they walked to the pavilion, for this or any ground. The Ripton total was 166. With the ground in its usual true hard condition, Wrykyn would have gone in against a score of 166 with the cheery intention of knocking off the runs for the loss of 2 or 3 wickets. It would have been a gentle canter for them. But ordinary standards would not apply here. On a good wicket, Wrykyn that season were a 250 to 300 side. On a bad wicket, well, they had met the Incogniti on a bad wicket, and their total, with Wyatt playing and making top score, had worked out at 107. A grim determination to do their best, rather than confidence that their best when done would be anything record-breaking, was the spirit which animated the team when they opened their innings. And in 5 minutes this had changed to a dull gloom. The tragedy started with the very first ball. It hardly seemed that the innings had begun when Morris was seen to leave the crease and make for the pavilion. "It's that googly man," said Burgess blankly. "What's happened?" shouted a voice from the interior of the first 11 room. "Morris is out." "Good gracious, how?" asked Ellerby, emerging from the room with one pad on his leg and the other in his hand. "L.B.W. first ball." "My aunt! Who's in next? Not me." "No, Berridge. For goodness sake, Berry, stick a bat in the way and not your legs. Watch that de Freece man like a hawk. He breaks like sin all over the shop. Hullo, Morris. Bad luck. Were you out, do you think?" A batsman who has been given L.B.W. is always asked this question on his return to the pavilion, and he answers it 9 cases out of 10 in the negative. Morris was the 10th case. He thought it was all right, he said. Thought the thing was going to break, but it didn't. "Hear that, Berry? He doesn't always break. You must look out for that," said Burgess helpfully. Morris sat down and began to take off his pads. "That chap'll have Berry if he doesn't look out," he said. But Berridge survived the ordeal. He turned his first ball to leg for a single. This brought Marsh to the batting end, and the second tragedy occurred. It was evident from the way he shaped that Marsh was short of practice. His visit to the infirmary had taken the edge off his batting. He scratched awkwardly at 3 balls without hitting them. The last of the over had him in 2 minds. He started to play forward, changed his stroke suddenly and tried to step back, and the next moment the bails had shot up like the debris of a small explosion, and the wicket-keeper was clapping his gloved hands gently and slowly in the introspective, dreamy way wicket-keepers have on these occasions. A silence that could be felt brooded over the pavilion. The voice of the scorer, addressing from his little wooden hut the melancholy youth who was working the telegraph board, broke it. 1 for 2. Last man duck." Ellerby echoed the remark. He got up and took off his blazer. "This is all right," he said, "isn't it? I wonder if the man at the other end is a sort of young Rhodes too." Fortunately he was not. The star of the Ripton attack was evidently de Freece. The bowler at the other end looked fairly plain. He sent them down medium pace, and on a good wicket would probably have been simple. But to-day there was danger in the most guileless-looking deliveries. Berridge relieved the tension a little by playing safely through the over and scoring a couple of 2s off it. And when Ellerby not only survived the destructive de Freece's second over, but actually lifted a loose ball on to the roof of the scoring hut, the cloud began perceptibly to lift. A no ball in the same over sent up the first 10. 10 for 2 was not good, but it was considerably better than 1 for 2. With the score at 30, Ellerby was missed in the slips off de Freece. He had been playing with slowly increasing confidence till then, but this seemed to throw him out of his stride. He played inside the next ball, and was all but bowled. And then, jumping out to drive, he was smartly stumped. The cloud began to settle again. Bob was the next man in. Ellerby took off his pads and dropped into the chair next to Mike's. Mike was silent and thoughtful. He was in after Bob, and to be on the eve of batting does not make one conversational.